I was still holding the coffee when she slammed the car door. Lukewarm. Cream. No sugar. The exact way she liked it. I made it with shaking hands that morning, because something in me knew she was going to walk out that day. But what I didn't know was that she'd choose a rooftop party with strangers over the man who paid her dental bills, walked her dog when she was too tired, and stood by her through 2 job layoffs and 1 stolen identity case. Her name is Alina, my wife of almost 3 years. Or was. That morning started like a slow-motion train wreck. She'd been pacing the kitchen since 6 a.m., wearing ripped jeans and a crop top that still had the tags on it. Her hair was done in waves, not the messy kind she wore around me, but the kind she knew got her attention. The kind that screamed, "I need to be seen tonight." She didn't say good morning. She didn't ask about my migraine. She just muttered something about needing space tonight and not being in the mood for guilt. Guilt? For what? When I asked what was going on, she barely looked up from her phone. "It's just a party, Carter. Rylan invited me. I'm going to clear my head." Rylan, her new friend from the gym. The guy who called her trouble in front of me and laughed like it was some inside joke. The guy who posted group selfies at 1 a.m. with his hand a little too close to her hip. I stood there like an idiot, coffee in hand, staring at the woman I thought I knew. The woman who used to curl into me during snowstorms. The woman who used to cry laugh at my bad jokes and say things like, "You're my safe place." That woman was already gone. "You can come if you want," she said. Flat. Robotic. "But don't make it weird." Make it weird? We were married. I was her husband. And somehow, me being there would ruin her vibe. She grabbed her keys and walked out without even touching the cup I made her. The one I held like it still meant something. Like it could warm me up through the cold silence she left behind. I stood in the driveway until I couldn't see her taillights anymore. I didn't text her. Didn't follow her. Didn't ask who Rylan really was. I just walked back inside, dumped the untouched coffee down the sink, and opened the file on my laptop labeled, "If I ever need to leave." I had started it 6 months earlier. Not because I wanted to use it, but because I knew I might have to. And that day? That was the day. By midnight, I was gone. I didn't leave a note. Didn't post cryptic quotes. I just disappeared from the life I was only tolerated in. She didn't chase me. Not the next day. Not the next month. Not for 2 years. But today, she's here. Standing outside my apartment in the rain with mascara on her cheeks, clutching that same coffee cup I once offered her. And she's crying like I'm the one who walked away. She wants me back. But she has no idea what she's about to find out. The knock on my door came at 6:41 p.m. Not loud. Just soft enough to be cautious. Like she wasn't sure I'd even answer. Like maybe she was hoping I wouldn't. I didn't move at first. I just stood in my small kitchen, staring at the door like it was a portal to the past I'd spent 2 years burying. I thought maybe it was a neighbor, maybe a delivery mistake, maybe literally anyone else. But then I heard it again. Another knock. Slightly firmer. Then a voice I hadn't heard since the day she drove away in a cloud of perfume and lies. "Carter, please." That voice. It hit me like a punch to the chest. I froze. And I hate that I did. I hate that after all this time, after everything she did, my body still betrayed me. My pulse raced. My hands trembled. Like some pathetic reflex clinging to a memory of love that hadn't been real in years. I didn't open the door right away. I needed a second. Just 1 second to remind myself who I had become since she left. Because I wasn't the same man she walked out on. Not anymore. Back then, I was scared. I was confused. I was the type of guy who begged for scraps of attention, who made dinner for someone who was already mentally eating with someone else. But now I had peace. My own place. A job I loved. A circle of people who saw me as more than just background noise in someone else's story. But curiosity is a cruel thing. It claws at you. It whispers, "Just look. Just see what she wants." So I opened the door. And there she was. Alina stood in the hallway, soaked from the rain, clutching a coffee cup, one of those cheap gas station ones, like it was the last piece of our old life she could offer me. Her hair was a mess, her eyes red, and her voice cracked when she said, "I didn't know where else to go." I should have said nothing. I should have closed the door. But instead, like an idiot, I let her in. She stepped into my apartment like she didn't believe it was real. Like she thought I'd be living in a cave somewhere, still waiting on the porch with that same untouched cup of coffee from 2 years ago. The first thing she did was scan the room, like she was checking to see if another woman lived here. I watched her eyes drift to the bookshelf, the couch pillows, the mug on the table that definitely didn't belong to her. She didn't say anything, but I saw it, that flicker of regret. She sat down, her hands shaking, and finally said it. I made a mistake. I didn't respond. I just stared at her, let her squirm in the silence she once weaponized against me. I thought that night was just a party, she continued, voice trembling. I didn't think it would be the last time I saw you. I thought you'd be mad, maybe yell, maybe forgive me like always. She looked up at me then. What eyes? Trembling lip. She still knew how to perform pain. I waited for you to come back. That part made me laugh. Not out loud, just that dead, hollow kind of laugh that lives behind the eyes. Because the idea that she waited, after everything, after vanishing into a life of glitter and club lights and other men, I leaned against the counter and finally asked, why now? Her answer? She looked me dead in the eye and whispered, because I thought Rylan loved me, but he never did. He used me. And when I realized what I'd thrown away, it was too late. She reached for my hand, but I didn't give it. Because what she didn't know, what she still didn't know, was that while she was out dancing on rooftops, I had found someone who actually loved quiet nights. Someone who saw me. Someone who never made me feel like a burden for simply wanting to be chosen. But I wasn't ready to tell her that yet. Because something about her story didn't add up. And I had a strange feeling. She wasn't here just to say sorry. She was hiding something. Something big. The longer she sat there, the more I realized she wasn't just here to apologize. Her eyes kept darting toward the window like someone might be watching. Her fingers tapped that cheap coffee cup like a ticking bomb. And every time I asked a direct question, she gave me half an answer. Not lies. Not exactly. Just carefully edited versions of the truth. And suddenly, I knew this wasn't about us. Not really. Not the marriage she destroyed. Not the silence she left behind. No, this visit had layers. Fear. Desperation. Shame. Something was chasing her. You didn't just come here because of Rylan, I finally said. So what is it? Why now? She froze. Her shoulders stiffened. I watched her inhale like she was preparing to dive underwater. He's not who I thought he was, she whispered. None of them are. I blinked. None of who? She looked at me, and for the first time in years, I saw real panic. Not guilt. Not regret. Terror. There were other parties, she said. Not just the one that night. Not just Rylan. There was this group. They called themselves the Loft Circle. It started out as rooftop stuff. Trendy people, DJs, free drinks, rooftop pools. I thought it was harmless. But then it changed. They had rules. They wanted loyalty. I could barely keep up. It sounded like nonsense. A cult? A rich kid's secret society? They made me sign an NDA, she said, her voice shaking. And then they made me do things. Things I regret. Things that felt normal at first. But then Rylan, he started threatening people. Blackmail. Hidden cameras. He recorded everything. I just stared at her. Not because I didn't believe her, but because suddenly it made sense. The expensive shoes she couldn't afford. The trips she never explained. The nights she came home wearing someone else's perfume. You let them film you? I asked, my voice flatter than I intended. She nodded, barely. And now what? They turned on you? She nodded again. Slower this time. Her hands tightened around the cup, so hard it crinkled. Rylan's wife found out. I didn't even know he was married. She threatened to go public with everything. And then, someone leaked a folder. Screenshots. Photos. Names. I've been getting calls. Texts. I don't know who I can trust. Her eyes finally met mine. But I know you. And I knew if I showed up, you'd at least listen. I wanted to scream. I wanted to laugh in her face. You knew I'd listen? After everything? After you crushed me like a bug under your heel. You thought I'd just hand you a blanket and play the hero? But I didn't say any of that. Because even with all the betrayal, the cheating, the abandonment, she looked like someone who had already been punished in ways I couldn't even begin to imagine. And I hated how a part of me still wanted to protect her. Even now. Even after all the destruction she left behind. I have to ask, I said quietly. Why didn't you come to me before it got this bad? She bit her lip, then whispered. Because I was ashamed. Because I thought you'd be better off without me. I shook my head, still numb. You were right. And then I saw it. The look on her face, the way it crumpled like glass under pressure, told me she wasn't just here to hide. She was here because she had nowhere else left to run. But I had built a new life now. and letting her in might destroy it. I should have kicked her out right then. I should have walked to the door, opened it, and told her to take her mess, her secrets, and her ghosts somewhere else. But instead, I just stood there like a fool while she curled into the edge of my couch, like it still belonged to her, like she hadn't vanished from my life without a word 2 years ago. The air in my apartment suddenly felt thinner, like just by being here, she had poisoned the calm I had fought so hard to build. I turned away and paced into the kitchen, trying to breathe, trying to slow my heart. I didn't know her anything. Not anymore. But something in her story had sunk its claws into me, and not because I cared about her the same way I used to. No, this was something different. Something darker. She hadn't just come here to say sorry. She hadn't come here to rekindle anything. She had brought trouble to my doorstep, and I knew the longer she stayed, the more likely it was to catch fire. And sure enough, it started that night. It was 2:11 a.m. when the first knock came. Not a polite knock. Not hesitant. It was violent. Fast. Aggressive. I shot up from the couch. Alina was already standing, clutching her phone, eyes wide with fear. "Don't answer it," she hissed, backing into the hallway like she already knew who it was. My body went cold. "Who is it?" She didn't answer. The knock came again, louder this time. 3 slams, like fists pounding the wood. I moved to the door, quietly, carefully. My apartment didn't have a peephole, just a side window down the hall. I crept toward it, pulled back the edge of the blind, and saw a dark SUV idling outside, engine running. A man in a hoodie was standing right at my door. No delivery bag, no clipboard, just standing there, breathing heavily, staring straight ahead. Then, suddenly, he turned and looked directly at the window I was peeking from. I dropped the blind instantly, heart slamming against my ribs. My voice came out hoarse. "Alina, who the hell is that?" She didn't answer. She just sank down to the floor, holding her head like it was going to explode. "I told you," she whispered. "I told you they'd find me." I took a step toward her. "Who is he?" "They follow people," she said, her voice shaking. "People who leave. People who talk." "Talk about what?" She looked up, and her voice broke. Rylan had dirt on everyone. Politicians, judges, celebrities. The parties weren't just about fun, they were leverage. Insurance. He recorded things. Sold footage. And I was in some of them. I stared at her in disbelief. "You mean you knew what was going on, and you stayed anyway?" Her silence was all the answer I needed. I took 2 steps back. My mouth was dry. My skin was buzzing with dread. "You didn't come here to apologize," I said slowly. "You came here because you needed someone else to take the heat." She stood up, eyes wide. "No, it's not like that." "Yes, it is," I snapped, louder than I intended. "You got in too deep, and now you're trying to drag me in with you." "No," she shouted, rushing toward me. I didn't know who else to go to, Carter. I thought you'd still care." The knock came again, this time louder, harder. Then, silence. We both froze, listening. And then we heard it. Footsteps, moving down the hall. Slow, deliberate. And then the unmistakable sound of a phone buzzing on the windowsill. I picked it up. Unknown number. No message. Just one image. A photo of Alina, standing in my doorway. Taken just 5 minutes earlier. They weren't knocking to scare us. They were letting us know they could get closer than we thought. I couldn't sleep after that photo. Neither could she. Alina sat curled up in the corner of my living room like a broken marionette, arms wrapped around her knees, trembling every time a car passed by outside. I paced, numb, haunted by one growing realization. She had made me a target without my consent. I had spent 2 years clawing my way back from the wreckage she left behind. I had lived small, lived quietly, learned how to enjoy being invisible. And now, in one night, she'd blown it all to hell. I confronted her at sunrise, when the city was still asleep and my patience had finally snapped. "You need to leave," I said, staring at her like I was looking through her. "Now." She looked up at me, red-eyed, hopeless. "Carter, they know where I am now. If I leave, they'll follow me. If I stay with you, I'm safer." "You're not," I said coldly. "You're not safer. You're selfish." That part hurt her, I could tell. But I didn't care. Not anymore. "You didn't come here because you missed me. You came here because you burned every bridge and I was the last fool dumb enough to answer the door." She stood up, shaky, then winced like something in her ribs hurt. That's when I noticed her holding her side, favoring it. Something wasn't right. What happened to you? I asked, hesitating despite myself. She paused, then whispered, They sent someone to warn me. It wasn't just a threat, Carter. They hit me. She pulled up the side of her shirt just enough to reveal bruises. Dark, recent, real. And in that moment, I hated how the part of me that still remembered loving her stirred. That cursed protective instinct I couldn't seem to kill, no matter how much she deserved it. I grabbed a bottle of water, handed it to her, and tried to think. What exactly do they want from you? Silence, she said. They think I have a copy of the files. Rylan disappeared last month. Nobody's heard from him. His wife went dark too. Some people think they fled. Others think. She didn't finish. She didn't need to. So they think you have it, I said. She nodded. I don't. I swear I don't. But someone out there leaked something, and now they think I'm the weak link. I didn't want to believe her. I really didn't. But the bruises were real. The photo was real. The SUV. The 2 a.m. knock. This wasn't just about a failed marriage anymore. This was something else. Something dangerous. And I was already in deeper than I ever intended. You can stay here, I said finally, voice low, but only for 2 nights. No more. After that, I'll help you find a lawyer or a safe house or whatever you need. But this isn't my life anymore. She nodded quickly, almost too quickly. Thank you. I won't let anything happen to you. But as I turned away, I caught something in her reflection. A flicker, the smallest shift in her face. Like maybe she wasn't just scared. Like maybe she was hiding something else. And suddenly I wasn't sure if I had just invited in someone who needed help, or someone who had already made a deal with the devil and dragged him in behind her. By the end of the second night, my apartment didn't feel like mine anymore. Every time I walked into the kitchen, I saw her sitting at my table like a memory I never wanted back. Every time I glanced toward the hallway, I expected shadows. Alina was quiet most of the day, sleeping on and off, barely touching the food I offered her, always checking the window like she was expecting someone to return. But I wasn't stupid. I knew there was something she wasn't telling me. Something buried beneath the panic and apologies. Her story still had gaps, timelines that didn't line up, fear that seemed rehearsed. And that flicker in her expression, the one I caught in the mirror, it haunted me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. So, when she fell asleep on the couch that night, I did something I never thought I'd do again. I went through her bag. I hated myself for it. I felt sick as I unzipped the worn leather strap, telling myself it was just for safety, just to protect myself. But deep down, I already knew I wasn't going to like what I found. Inside, beneath a wrinkled hoodie and a smashed makeup pouch, was a flash drive. No label, no case, just a small silver stick tucked inside a side pocket. The kind you don't carry by accident. I stared at it for a long time. She had told me she didn't have anything, that the files Rylan had vanished with were long gone, that she was only being hunted because of suspicion, not proof. But this was proof. I plugged it into my laptop with trembling hands, headphones on, heart pounding. And what I saw made my stomach turn. Videos. Dozens of them. Timestamps. Names. Faces I recognized from television, news, politics. Men and women, half-dressed, drunk, oblivious. Talking. Doing things. Being filmed, obviously without their consent. And Alina was in more than one. Not just standing in the background. She was talking, laughing, flirting, coordinating. And in one clip, I saw her hand a man a drink while someone off camera said, "This one's wired." I ripped the headphones off. My ears were buzzing. My palms were sweaty. She wasn't a victim. She was involved. Willingly. Actively. And then she came running to me like I was some safe harbor, pretending to be innocent. I backed away from the screen like it could infect me. I stared at her, sleeping peacefully on my couch, like she hadn't just detonated my life all over again. That's when the second realization hit me. She hadn't brought the drive here by accident. She had hidden it, lied about it, and now it was sitting in my apartment, with my fingerprints all over it. She didn't just drag danger to my door. She planted the evidence here. And whether she planned to use it to protect herself or throw me under the bus, I didn't know yet. But I was done waiting to find out. I walked over to the couch and shook her shoulder. She blinked awake, groggy and confused. "What is it?" I held up the drive between 2 fingers, like it was a snake I'd just pulled from her purse. "You said you didn't have anything." The color drained from her face. For the first time since she arrived, she had no words. She didn't even try to deny it at first. just stared at the flash drive in my hand like it had turned into a loaded weapon. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. No excuses. No fake tears this time. Just silence. Heavy. Tense. Telling. I dropped the drive on the coffee table between us. The sound it made was sharper than I expected. Final. Like something had snapped. You came here to hide, I said quietly, but not from them. You're hiding from the consequences. Her eyes flicked to the window, then back to me. You don't understand. No, you don't. I cut her off. You dragged me into this without warning. Lied to my face. Told me they were chasing you over suspicion, but you brought the proof with you. You planned this. Her hands trembled in her lap. I didn't know what else to do. You could have told the truth, I snapped. But you didn't want help. You wanted cover. You wanted me to be your fall guy if it all went wrong. She stood up suddenly, panicked, like she could outrun the words I was throwing at her. I was scared, Carter. You have no idea what they're capable of. Rillen's not missing, he's gone. People who cross them disappear. I was supposed to deliver that drive to someone, and I backed out. I've been running ever since. I stared at her. At the woman I once married. At the stranger now standing in my living room. Shaking, cornered, exposed. I was your husband, I said. Not your insurance policy. She stepped forward like she was going to touch me. I backed away. Don't, I said coldly. Don't fake regret now. You made your choice when you walked out that night. When you ghosted me. When you let Rillen treat you like property while I was making you breakfast every damn morning. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't care anymore. I didn't flinch. And that's when she broke, not with a sob, but a confession. I wasn't going to stay, she whispered. I swear. I just needed one night. I thought maybe they wouldn't follow me here. But then I saw you again, and I thought maybe I could fix it. Maybe if I stayed long enough, you'd believe me. Maybe we could. I don't know, start over. My laugh came out bitter and sharp. Start over? After lying, cheating, disappearing, and using me as a meat shield for your crimes? You really thought I'd forget everything because you cried in my hallway? She didn't respond. She didn't have to. Her silence said it all. I picked up the drive and walked past her into my office. Locked the door. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do yet, but I knew one thing. This wasn't her decision anymore. She used me. She betrayed me. And now, I was the one holding the only piece of evidence that everyone was willing to kill over. The tables had turned. I no longer cared if she stayed or left. I was done playing the fool. And for the first time in years, I finally had the power. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my office with the flash drive resting on the desk like it was radioactive, while Alina paced the living room like a caged animal. Occasionally, I'd hear her stop near the door, maybe debating whether to run, but she didn't. Maybe because she still thought I'd save her. Maybe because she still thought she could fix this. But I was done being the safety net for a woman who'd only ever seen me as a backup plan. At sunrise, I made a decision. I grabbed the drive, put it in a padded envelope, and drove straight to a contact I never thought I'd call again. A cybersecurity consultant I used to work with during my old job. Quiet guy. Paranoid. But smart. The kind of person who knew how to make things disappear or reappear in the right inboxes. We didn't talk long. I told him enough. Just enough. He didn't ask about Alina. Didn't need to. He took the envelope, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Once this goes out, there's no undoing it." "I'm counting on that," I said. By the time I got back home, she was already packed. Her eyes searched mine, but I gave her nothing. "I know you're done," she said softly, defeated. "But thank you for not turning me in." I shrugged. "I didn't do it for you." She paused at the door. "Then why?" I looked past her, at the clear morning sky outside. "Because I needed to end this the right way. With truth. Not more lies." She nodded slowly, tears welling again, but I didn't flinch. This time, I let her walk away. No dramatic goodbye. No closure speech. Just the sound of the door shutting behind her. 3 days later, it hit the news. The footage. The names. The bribes. The parties. The blackmail. The network exploded into public view like a rotten wall kicked open. Arrests. Warrants. Asset freezes. One by one, the untouchables went down. Even Rillen, who hadn't disappeared, but had been hiding abroad, got caught trying to board a flight under a fake name. And Alina? I heard she turned herself in. Testified. Cooperated. Got a plea deal. She'll probably vanish again someday. New name, new city. But I won't be there to see it. That chapter's over. As for me, funny how peace feels when it finally arrives. I didn't expect it. I thought I'd feel bitter, hollow, but I didn't. I moved to a new place. Quiet town. I started writing, small articles at first, then full-time. Real work. Meaningful stories. I even met someone. Slowly. Carefully. She's nothing like Alina. She doesn't play games. She doesn't disappear into the night. She listens. Laughs at the right moments. And she knows the whole story, start to finish, because I told her everything. And she still stayed. It turns out, healing doesn't come from getting revenge. It comes from choosing yourself when no one else does. Alina chose a rooftop party. I chose peace. And for once, I didn't look back.